welcome. What a wonderful house we have today. All on Zoom. Welcome, folks. I'm Maggie Bloomfield. Chip is not with us today. He got a job.
How dare you?
Yeah, some nerve, huh? We usually begin the afternoon with a land welcome. I apologize in advance for my pronunciation of some of the indigenous people's names. New York City and Long Island has always been a gathering and trading place for many indigenous people.
I believe they
We
hear
acknowledge that we are guests on this island.
hear these people.
Poetry Street and our work
Right,
in
nobody's
this area
speaking.
of Long Island is situated on the ancestral
What
and
if I turn
unceded
mine
lands
on for a
of the
second?
Lenape, who are the original caretakers. Also, the Canarsie, the Shinnecock, Montaukett, the Redgawa,
It's a
the
JBL
Munsee, and
speaker.
Haudenosaunee. We acknowledge and respect the many indigenous
Mine is
peoples
on.
who live on this land and continue to make ongoing contributions to this area.
Hi.
I can't work there any longer. It's killing me there.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's completely.
It began 10 years ago. It was a product of the Jumpstart project in Riverhead, East End Arts. It was begun by Susan Dingle and Bobby Brown, who's with us today. Susan is with us, I think, on Zoom.
So they
She
hear her.
abandoned
Susan's
us
Yes.
and went to the Pacific Northwest.
People can't hear
But
them.
she's still with us in spirit. We were the
Switch
Blue
audio
Duck,
over
thanks
to
to
there.
Nancy Curtis, for a long time. And then the Blue Duck closed and we kind of lost our spaces for a while. Oh, and then COVID, remember COVID? COVID happened, and then the library invited us to make this our new home. And we thank Pam Cook and his staff and Janet, who's here from the board, for making us a regular guest once a month, the last Saturday of every month. We are here, usually with 3 featured poets and an open mic. I'm going to introduce the features in a minute, but just to let you know about the open mic, there's a sheet back there. If you didn't sign it, sign the library sheet and the open mic sheet if you wish to read. I will go over the rules. We have rules for the open mic, which I will go over with you before we start it. So we have 3 wonderful features. I'm talk amongst yourselves for a moment while we get the technical difficulties solved. Next month, oh, you know what I can do? I can read the community poem. There's that jar back on the table. There's a jar back on the
into the
table as you
meeting
come in.
And talk
There
to
are
me,
little
and then
sheets
we'll
of
know if we
paper.
can hear.
Please write one
That's the
line
Zoom
on the
ID.
paper, put it in the jar. I will put it together and read, oh, there's Susan. I will read it next month. You have to come next week. You want to have a poem? The one for this month is, you can see the lines, okay? I put them together and this is what we came up with. What are we all looking for? Some see the mountaintop from the air, some from the trail, but some see it with heart. What are we all looking for? Will I cry or have joy after election day? What an amazing day. What are we all looking for? Every daddy ought to have a special daughter. I let a wasp into the house when I thought it was a bumblebee. What are we all looking for? Life is such a precious gift, and to light all mature. Each time my heart is broken, it is healed with a golden, healing light. What are we all looking for? Okay, so our first feature, we have three wonderful features today. And we're going to begin with Pastor Montez Johnson. He is an assistant pastor at Riverhead's First Baptist Church in charge of outreach. He's husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Bronson is current chaplain, mentor, and counselor for Suffolk County prison systems. He is a playwright, a poet, author of songs, poems, and short stories. He's an active proponent and supporter of the Anti-Bias Task Force and the Civil Rights Movement. Help me welcome Pastor Montez Johnson.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the gracious invitation.
Sir, can you just pull the mic up a little?
Is it better?
Much better, thank you.
Our first reading is titled, When You See Me. Should I only like you when you think you look like me? Should I disrespect you based only on what I can see? Am I only to be tolerant when you act out what I believe? Am I to sum up who you are because of what I perceive? When I look at you, have I already made up my mind? Have I already decided whether to be abrasive or kind? Far too often we deal with others without considering for the need. Too often ready to deny you because of color, race, creed. There is a time, and it shouldn't be now, where we lose senseless bias. Learn to come together to solve all things that mutually try us. Though we have the right to disagree with the point of view of others, let us not choose to forget that we too have our own struggles. The things that make us different are the things that make us unique. Being kind and just to others will bring about the peace and respect that we seek. So to all those who will listen, will you examine your ways and views? Alter things that prove unfair, our fixed ideas ready to lose. And now when I see you, I look beyond your exterior, seeing you as valuable, never again as an inferior. As we move progressively forward, keep in mind and don't forget, we all have more in common than we are ready to admit.
Sure.
Have you ever noticed? Have you noticed at times how sadness changes to rage? When anger replaces disappointment, and confusion sets the Even the ones we love become targets of some cheap shots. Then we stand by idly, watching their dreams fade and rot. Good, evil, love, hate, God, the devil, joy, and forget not pain. One gives way to the other. Understanding may drive us insane. When evil, hate, the devil, and pain find their way towards our hearts, let's use these things to strengthen ourselves. Don't let them drive us apart. Have you noticed at times there are things we take too lightly, like goodness, love, joy, and God? To each other, let's hold on tight. I wrote one this week for this occasion. I believe I put it in there. You got it? Okay. Oh, there it is. Still on the timer?
I'm leaving, but what do you want her to do when she's
It's called An Urban Soul's Journey.
normally reading.
Urban Soul
Okay, so you're
Journey. The odds were stacked against him from birth.
Okay.
Circumstances of life altered his course. If there was a purpose, there was a plan. It was hidden behind an unseen force. Abandonment and shame often led the way, bending to appetites that were never ever satisfied, peering through darkness, unable to find light, choosing to stay hidden. The dark was a good place to hide. Blinded into believing that what was wrong had to be right. Though smiling on the inside, yet crying awake. Blinded, seeing only what he wanted to see. Most everyone knew his persona was fake. Found himself tangled in a web filled with crime, to the point of incarceration, nearly going insane. Many choices of recovery soon came and went. He ignored the problems, leaving loved ones in pain. He came close a few times to those who wanted to help, but rejected their offers, believing it was too late. That life, time, destiny, the stay in the past, had snatched the possibility of hope from his plate. In the search for contentment, he thought all had been lost. Certainly by now, too many lines had been crossed. Found that there was someone who wouldn't turn him away. Even more, bring peace and comfort that would finally stay. In conclusion, he found more than he could have hoped for. He found love, peace, joy, a home, and so much more. A way out of what was thought to be an eternal hope, and a God and Savior who came to rescue just such a soul. Unhealed secrets. As time goes by, we can see walls that were built, hiding the hurt and shame of fortified past guilt. Windows in these walls show visions of the past, visions and accounts of a life lived too fast. Shown are the memories of friends, hopes, trust, and love lost, peering out with bitterness as one remembers the cost. Stepping from beyond these walls required a mask. Keeping up with the multitude of faces was a daunting task. Life had gotten bitter, but the secrets stayed hidden. To reveal them now seems senseless, even forbidden. Why bring these things that were so deeply buried away? When locked there is where they wanted them to stay. However it seems, without warning, the past reappears, giving way to bad memories, and still secret fears. Not knowing ourselves that these attitudes have resurrected, leaving loved ones and friends confused, hurt, and often rejected. As the Lord gives us strength, let us unearth these hidden pains. Let us willingly seek healing that will remain. Let us not stay entombed in these self-made enclosures, but let us often seek God's help for lasting, cleansing exposure. Without these hindrances, there's so much more we could do. For God deserves our best, oh yeah, and our loved ones too. Say the one that said, did not come back again?
Yes.
Okay, so saving one. We'll read this one because you heard me read this one. This made it inspired to invite you to come. It's called This Cup. This cup that's been given me has long been seen too full, filled with abandonment and confusion offered by a world often cruel. From the time I can remember, there was suffering and shame, not knowing hope, serenity, real love, or even my mother's name. A cup full of pain, a cup of confusion, thought that this was the norm, never seeing, never knowing that I was actually in a storm. Cried out in pain, though I thought no one could hear, only to find out there was one who was quite near. Found that this cup was a vessel given to one and all. I believe now that difficulty was needed to answer my call. Through pride, I filled this cup according to my selfish will. Now in humility, I know this cup was the Lord's to fill. My view of this cup through time has dramatically changed. I've learned to give the Lord this cup in my life to rearrange. He's given me a journey, difficult, but not too much to bear. So now I will never look at this cup with fear or despair. In this cup at times are still difficulties of my foolish pride, but daily to be empty, for it was for me that Jesus died. So this cup that was given will be left for my Father to fill. No matter what he fills it with, I pray I will be still.
So much. Wow, what an opening. Let's hear it from Pastor John. I did neglect to mention mention that the teachers will come back, time permitting, at the end of the program to do an extra. Bronson, he's on the faculty of the Center for Medical Humanities, Compassionate Care, and Bioethics of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University. He's a member of the board at the Walt Whitman Birthplace.
We can't hear. There's no sound.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Richard is a member of the board at the Walt Whitman Birthplace and at the Long Island Poetry Collective, and he served as Suffolk County Poet Laureate from 2021 to 2023. Please help me welcome Richard Bronson.
Thank you, Maggie, and also thank you, Chip, for inviting me to meet today. Beautiful day. So, can you hear me okay? So, I'm going to divide the reading into 3 sections. I'm going to start with a few lyrical poems. A number of years ago, I had this project to write a poem for the month, reflected something about the month, and then there were a few poems for my parents and a few for my work in medicine. So I'm starting with 3 poems a month, and I chose January. January is the hardest month for me. It's the dark time. We passed the winter solstice in December with the time of holidays. And January is sort of long, and I guess it reflects my feeling. January. I have come to know the melancholy of Monday morning roads, leading toward the incarceration of offices, the anvil of their hours. I know the sadness of blue evenings as dusk passes into darkness, street lamps switching on, moving a long way home. I know the dark solemnity of empty houses awaiting their occupants, and the solitude of autos that carry close-to drivers alone on night highways, each at the end of days. Still dark. I'm living like spring summer, but I'm feeling really good. This is July. One of my favorite places to visit for many years in the U.S. had been Orcas Island. It's sort of the Sandwich Islands north of Seattle. And Seattle is wonderful in the summer, otherwise it rains a good part of the year. So, Dawn Ferry at Orcas Island for Susan. You threw a jacket over your nightgown. I struggled in the darkness of the jeans. And we rushed onto the Widow's Walk to watch the ferry approach. Orion dominated the dawn sky. It spelled a trio of stars. 2 tiers of light, silent on night water, floated towards the pier. Across the channel, firefly headlights flickered within the dark forest, racing toward the ferry slip. You stood by me, watching the gathering day, extinguished the stars in tones of rose, and red Madrona burst into flame. A voice announced through a loudspeaker, "Cars leaving for Lopez Island, board now." And gulls appeared, sounding a call to prayer from their high places. Seeing that command, heeding that command, we returned to bed, the temple of our love, tasted the power of Eros in celebration of the day. That's the last poem, this is November, titled Thanksgiving is for Susan. I awaken in soft light to thee and thee, bodies conforming to each other. My breath blows gently onto your shoulder, lips touching soft skin. If I were to open my eyes unto the day, this fragile moment would pass. And I have grown aware in the space between sleep and waking of a thought. Our breaths, the slow movement of air passing in and out minute by minute, mingle in this bedroom over the years as our lives have. And I must give thanks. I'm moving on to my family, my dad and my mom. So my father was an old-time family doctor, GP who made house calls, and I realized in later in my life it was an unusual type of relation because I almost never saw him. He would whistle regularly, wake me up and be gone, and he was never home most of the time for dinner. And that made me understand, be careful in what you choose in medicine because you have to make choices. Anyway, so the first poem is called Imperfect Knowledge. Imperfect Knowledge. My toes wriggled, skeletal, with the new shoes, big toe, little ones, as x-rays passed through me, no worry of rankings or rags. I stepped off the pedestal, laughed, and the shoe salesman smiled and said, look again if you like, and we both watched the goodness of the fit. My father, a general all-around doc, made use of x-rays too. How many chest films did he perform, set fractures under fluoroscopy, not realizing the danger of overexposure? No lead to shield his body. In the end, did it matter? Heart disease caught up with him his 100-patient days, not cancer. After the first coronary, his face, a fractured moon, gray within the mist of a plastic oxygen tank. I thought he'd break apart, never return to us. Before the second lethal blow, I saw him in the kitchen, taking red pills from the fridge. Estrogen, he said, they tell me it's good for my heart. I'd grow breasts if I had to. Yes, I hope that now know it wasn't so. So the theory was that women didn't develop coronary heart disease until after menopause. So perhaps estrogens protected them, so they gave men estrogen, which promoted heart disease in women. It's really about how medicine works. Limited knowledge, and you do something, it turns out it's the wrong thing to do. Two Hands Violin for William Bronson and Maggie. Two Hands Violin. I found you abandoned in the attic of my boyhood home. Your broken bridge, rusting screams, a testimony to disregard. When had you last sung? In what year did he last hold you in his loving hands? Can you sing me a song of my lost father, of the times you had together, the long dead maestro, you his prima donna? When did he last place you in your case where you have waited in aging velvet until gently lifted from that grave resting place and I stroked your strings? If I were to raise your frayed bow, touch so lightly those strings, would you whisper why your lost interest left you longing in your case? What was his new love that led to this estrangement? What moved him that nothing else mattered? His music, his family. Sing me a song of my lost father. Tell me the times you had together. Tell me his passion. Whisper his secrets that I may understand. Two poems from my mom. Perfect. She snapped each bean to judge its freshness, pressed each peach, each tomato squeezed, while I looked up at the counters, walked the aisles of the A&P behind her cart. We smelled the cantaloupes, shook the honeydew, stumped the watermelons, felt the firmness of cucumbers. She sniffed coffee beans before they were brown, knew the odor of fresh fish, color of spoiled meat. She has lived her life this way, judging for herself the quality of things, what others take for granted, insensitive to her elocution, her dress, her hair, her high-heeled shoes, the refusal to wear sneakers. Now she is no longer perfect, needs an aid to help her dress, her gait precarious, and her mind is clear. She still wears heels, it is her way, the death lurks with every fall. The next poem is titled My Mother's Incidentaloma. So an incidentaloma is an incidental finding. A doctor is doing a test for one thing and finds something else. And it's something else that's the first thing in. My mother's incidentaloma. I scrawled a silly face in a latex glove blown up to distract you. Smiled as we waited in a cramped exam room. You brought me here, your eyes accused, watching the heavy minutes take by. Your doctor retired. A new one had ordered this test and that. An ultrasound scan to confirm his suspicion of gallstones, and there, in the right kidney, a spot. No way to know if it's cancer. Better remove it, he said. Had a little bit of that on your mind. I suggested a second opinion. Urologist, tall, distant, white-coated as I at times, told us your choices, the risks. We sat there in silence, thinking what could not be said. I never escaped. What should I do? You frowned at me. Say something. You're a doctor. I thought of my father, who prided himself in his medical judgment, told his patients what to do. He'd have advised you, but I was not him. Mom, a difficult choice. I can't decide for you. All I could muster, seeking my own escape. Neither spoke on the drive to your place. I turned the radio on, turned the radio off. A thought echoed through the chambers of my mind. Could I advise surgery you might not survive? Then, week after week, I phoned. You said, I've scheduled the pre-op test. Always postponed. We made a decision to proceed with some surgery at some distant date, and she never did. By the way, this is the club I wrote the Rolex. Still have it. I think I was wearing the sports jacket at the time. Okay, the last part is called Internship, Residency, and Beyond. So the first one was during my internship. This was a Bellevue hospital, one of the oldest hospitals in the country, and the place for last resort for many people. Found in the street. You were dead drunk, smelly of piss, swollen toes, bursting maggot-filled socks, legs, a motley sea of cellulitis, soaks and antibiotics, a sheltered week of rest, a haircut and shave reveal a man my own age. In the intern's front office, a costly darkness around us. We walked and talked past midnight, two guys in our 20s, as the city murmured through an open window. The Lord of sleeping men are our witness. We offered what we had, found you a place to address your addiction. For the one task required to arrive on your own, we gave you the means, $10, placed in your hand, to travel by bus out of the city. Clean but not healed, $10 burning in your pocket. You left our care, and I wish you Godspeed. And I called the place he was supposed to go to, and he never arrived. And of course, I remember we were the same age. What happened in his life's path that led to alcoholism and dereliction and homelessness? Why I was so lucky to have basic parents who really nurtured me. And it was this, what was it? And it gave me, at that very young age, a certain feeling about what life was about. And then this is another poem, 2 more ago, this one more. Taking sides, as quote from Hippocrates is the epigraph, first to the poem. A junior resident on rotation, new to the place, First case of the day, I met the surgeon at the scrub sink. Now, gowned in blood, we faced each other, the anesthetized patient between us. Silence ticked by to the sound of the ventilator. Well, why didn't you ask for the scalpel, he said. Thank you for the case, I blurted out, but the hurting is on your side. I admitted him last night. He spoke through mask, but I could see his eyes, which broached no error. What? I'm sure you're wrong. I read my office note this morning. The chart's over there. The surgeon signaled the circulator. Bring it over. See? Left. Scalpel, I said. The knife snapped into my gloved hand. Then the thought, could he be wrong? I trust myself. Wait, I'm sure I'm right. You gotta be sure. Wake him up, surgeon, for the anesthetist. Eyes. Everyone looking at each other, wondering, judging. I watched the man awaken, still strapped in under sterile gloves, puzzled when asked which side, and mutter, right. There was a question, now none, the surgeon said, turned to me. Took spunk. But I knew I'd hesitated, almost stayed silent, and made the wrong cut. Now, this is the true case. Now, what happens today is something called a timeout. Before the patient is anesthetized and put to sleep, the surgeon states what he plans to do, what the operation is, and the scrub nurse says that. And before the patient goes into the OR, he takes a special pen, if it's a procedure on one side, and marks the side. But this was so many years ago, no one did that. And there was an error made, in the surgeon's notes. And the other thing that was funny was in those days, people came the night before a relatively simple surgery. No one would pay the bill for that, when people come in and say, Anyway, so this is the last moment of the sequence. First, do no harm. First, do no harm. In the heady days of his education, he devoured fruit from the tree of knowledge, binged on ideas, gorged on words of biochemists, bacteriologists, pathologists, then regurgitated them. Enthralled by science, capital S, a sense of infallibility, everything seemed possible. Progress, his mantra, that time passed, new paradigms replacing old. Drugs had prescribed their little good. Procedures, no benefit if not formed. In that sea of fallacies and fashions, false compass bearings could be made. He sailed a fragile bark, fearing shipwreck on the Isle of Error. Caution now his watchword. Yes,
What a wonderful reading. Thank you, Williford. Thank you again. Last, and certainly not least, we have Dr. Tammy Nuzzo-Morgan, someone I went to school with. We were both students at the MFA program at Williford, and we both have poetry venues, plus she's got a lot more. She is the founder and president of the Long Island Poetry Repository and Literature Repository. She's the publisher of the North Sea Poetry Scene Press and the editor of Long Island Sounds and other anthologies. Tammy has penned 6 chapbooks, a memoir, a children's book, and 2 full-length poetry books, plus has written extensively about the healing power of poetry. Tammy is the first woman Suffolk County Poet Laureate, served from 2009 to 2011. She teaches at the C.W. Post campus of LIU. Please welcome Tammy.
Oh yeah, I got books for sale. I need gas money, so please contribute. So thank you. Sorry Chip isn't here, but thank you Chip and Maggie I want to say this is my first outing in a while. I've been suffering from vertigo and they finally gave me medication. So last time I was in a store with my daughter and I wound up going to the hospital because they called an ambulance on me, and so I finally had to be treated. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. So I have a couple of poems that I'd like to share with you. Where did they go? Where did they go, the dead? Did they hang in the air like cigarette smoke, circling and swirling in our lives without us noticing? Did they move on to some other plane of existence, living another form of life, one without the misery of this one? Did they become nothing more than snippets of film playing over and over in our heads? Did they transcend the sacred void, following voices of those who traversed the bridge before? Where did they go? Did they wait, sleeping, to be discovered by descendants with only dates and places to mark their time here? Did they return to the original source, become pure energy, to be tapped when called upon? Did they simply stop, become nothingness, unknowingness? Did they become specters, shadows, or movements caught in the corner of our eye? Where did they go? So as I'm getting older, I'm starting to really appreciate my youth more. I shouldn't have misspent it. We were gods. We were young, we were beautiful, we were gods. No one, nothing could touch us. We had years before us, lives like endless rope before us, children before us. No maps, no plans, no fear of what was to come. Photos taken, moments given, dreams shaken into reality. We were young, we were beautiful, we were gods. No houses, no bank accounts, no 3 a.m. fears, no college degrees, no car keys, no retirement plans. We lived for the nights, we lived for the days, we lived like gods. Thank you. I forgot who I was. For a while, I forgot who I was. I allowed old tapes to wind and rewind in my head after someone else pressed the play button. I became convinced that I was less than, unable, unworthy. It took my child to point out my degradation of myself. She reminded me just who I am and how far away I have come. I failed to remember the grace and power I possess, the struggles I overcame, the accomplishments I had achieved. I surrounded myself with those that pecked at me like crows, feasting on my riches, didn't say thank you, only demanded more. For a while, I forgot who I was. The dread of loneliness outweighed my self-preservation. I walked into the bear trap unthinkingly, clamped the jaws down onto my own leg. I smiled with my sweat-soaked face while oozing blood filled my shoe, and thanked them for being my friends. For a while, I forgot who I was. Thank you. So this one's a little difficult to get the message, but I hope you do. Light 'em up, America. Light 'em up in the middle of a rainstorm, snowstorm, windstorm, crap storm. Read by lighter light. Make love in the dark, then spark those blunts and butts. Set the drapes and rug on fire. Watch it crumble into ashes of what could have been. Who the heck were Ozzie and Harriet anyway, right? Light 'em up, America. Burn down the schools, churches, malls, wherever people still gather. Any place you're reminded that the meek did not inherit the earth. Burn all the books and start over. Make a new history. The old one sucks anyway, right? Light 'em up, America. Go downtown and torch the tires of cars, the tar road, the traffic lights. Take back the streets. Take back the night. Smash all the storefront windows. Take whatever you want. It's a free-for-all, after all, right? Light 'em up, America. Make a shimmering wave with others listening to the band. Pulse with the beat, lick sweat off someone's neck. Let whomever bite into your flesh. Spark a love fest, a flesh fest, a fluid fest. Let everyone drain their veins. Make war, not love. Make love, not war, right? Oh, Freudian slip. Light 'em up, America. Sojourn to the wooded grove, torch the sacred trees, smoke the druids, the worshippers, the sacrifices, toast marshmallows off smoldering embers of faith. Wash it down with spicy fireball shots. Howl the moon in bare feet. We are all animals, right? Light 'em up, America. Take down the whole edifice. Blaze the federal offices in every city. Create a pyre with the fingerprints and DNA files, the spools of taped phone calls, the visas and passports of those entering and departing. Char the driver's licenses, the social security cards, the dental and school records. Get a new smoking tattoo and slow roll the burn. This poem has no title. However, it holds her raven hair and his robin egg eyes and misery's cousin, my left hand, your twisted smile, and yesterday's dirty dishes. Wednesday's forgotten trash day, the yellow 10-speed handlebars, and 2 mosquito bites, and the photo of me at 19. This poem has no title. Nevertheless, in secondhand clicking, the dryer turning, the TV blaring, the radio playing, my empty stomach churning, my drunken neighbor yelling while the car is moving toward the impossible. This poem has no title. Still it surrounds us in Allen's voice and Whitman's beard, morning mist, white-tailed deer, 3 bay scallops, 1 dying star, my 4 cats, 7 purple balloons, the last day of summer, my bruised wrist, their ending affair, and Payne's sister. This poem has no title. Still it corrals my thoughts and unleashes the wind and naps at 2 a.m. and is on the road with Kerouac and works out with Jacqueline and sings, look what they've done to my song lock off key, and plays Spider Solitaire when no one is watching. So you can tell this one's written a little while ago, and you'll see what. I couldn't write the poem because the birds are flocking in oranging trees. It is Friday. I am 57 years old. My phone keeps ringing. The midterms are over. It isn't my birthday. My daughter got a great job. My neighbor is building an addition. Regular gas is $2.85 a gallon. I live on Long Island. My son lives in Harlem. My cat is mean. I ran out of coffee creamer. Rich Hoffman says it won't rain today. My husband just kissed me. I'm working on my dissertation. My friend came over for lunch. I teach freshman English composition. I cannot win at solitaire. You aren't here. I hope I can get through this. This is for my daughter, a window of her own, Eliza Jo. She has windows of her own to look at rain gathering on the lawn, watch the grass grow on Sunday afternoon, sit in front of and daydream about anything she wishes. She has floors of her own to walk on in bare feet or slippers or sock or on her hands if she wishes to. She has time to learn every creek at night, the morning sun, the blackout, in dream state. She has walls of her own to hang whatever she wants, wherever she wants, to watch sunlight play patterns on when she doesn't want to do anything else. She has a ceiling of her own to stare at when sleep won't come because life is too exciting, and think about who else may have stared at this ceiling when they too could not find sleep. She has a kitchen of her own to cook in or not, to place her pots and pans, dishes, glasses, cups, silverware, and anything else she desires because it's hers to fill or not, as she sees fit. She has a bathroom of her own to decorate, to shower in, to contemplate God, to wash her beautiful face, to brush out her long chestnut hair. to brush her teeth, to flush the toilet whenever she needs. She has a front porch of her own to sit on, to place a bird feeder, to set up wind chimes, to put up an umbrella, to barbecue on, to talk to whomever she wants, whenever she wants. Dragonfly wings. I grow weary of being a woman with the second set of rules and monthly weeds. My feminine frame is inadequate armor for battling a masculine war of wills. Perch pretty, twitter sweetly, don't you like your comfy cage? I have learned to lose smilingly, concealing the deceit. What do they know of miscarriages or hungry babies at 3 a.m. and dreams buried but not forgotten? I have often wished not to desire a man's touch so much, nor his whispers that entice hope, like the sun upon a blossom's bud. At midlife, I'm aware of the fleeting years and the missed chances to do what I wanted long ago. I have become uneasily content, stretching from the inside out, trying not to tear my shedding skin, waiting for my dragonfly wings to dry. Shh. So I read one for my daughter, I'll read one for my son, who's now a firefighter for the Air Force. He just came back from Jordan. He was on the border of Syria for 6 months. He happened to be one of the firefighters going into Tower 11 to recover. Finding your way, the Vin Man. Before 49 at Taco Bell, I can eat like a king, my son tells me when he calls. I listen, knowing what he means. I too have followed my dream. She's led me to hunger's doorstep with my hat in my hand. I have knocked like a beggar for small morsels to keep my spirit going, some nourishment to keep my steps moving forward. I too have been alone, heard the echoes in my head telling me to trust, not to turn my back. I should obey and keep steady. I know where my son lives, in despair's rooming house, lying awake in darkness, questioning the whys, getting no replies, except the sound of cars rushing by. For over 30 years, I've been involved in a strange love affair. I have lost so much because I would not leave her, but I have gained much more than I lost. I found myself, my only true companion, when all else said, no, you will not, cannot. How do I tell him this, when he must live it for himself, just as we all must? The women and men I surround myself with. These are the women I surround myself with as they fill me with understanding. Sexton knows how houses can be filled with skillets, carving shelves, closets, silks, and innumerable goods. Platt understands how tulips are too excitable. Old shares how the unborn are half listening for the bell. Walker conveys how the healing of all our wounds is forgiveness. Angelo teaches me how to find my soul a home. Sappho whispers, I desire and I crave. Rich is the mermaid whose dark hair streams black. Percy instructs me to love with hands wide open. Brooks reminds us, remember, green's your color, you are spring. These are the men I surround myself with as they fill me with knowledge. Whitman, because he sings to me when lilacs last in doorway bloom. Emerson, since he understands that water is not broken-hearted. Eliot, for he has known arms that are braceleted and white and bare. Kerouac, for explaining how ecstasy is like a shot of heroin or morphine. Hughes, for he too sings America. Auden, as he knows how love can be my north, my south, my east and west. Pound, because he brings me balls of light. Williams, because he too, like me, has seen a red wheelbarrow blazed with rainwater. And Bukowski, for he warns of one woman, one man, one thing enters a madhouse. Thank you.
Tammy. One more time for our features. Could somebody in the back hand me the open mic sheet, please? While that's happening, I will explain the rules for the open mic. We have a lot of people today, so please listen carefully. We ask that you limit yourself to one poem, not your epic, not your full manuscript, one poem, not to exceed 2.5 minutes, okay? Other than that, you're free to express yourself. I have a request from Danny to go first, and then Claire, you have people on Zoom.
We do. I'm just going to ask Susan Dingle to unmute for a second and give us a quick sound check to see if we can hear the people from Zoom land.
Okay, from Zoom land, can you hear me?
Yes.
Not really.
No, so let's let Danny go, and then I'm going to switch it around and see if we can try something else.
Okay, Danny, you're up, babe.
Yes, the name of the poem I'll be reciting is called At the Bottom. I said I'm at the bottom, waiting for my exercise check, breaking out with cold sweats, body twitching, tired of living, trying to stick straight in the void prison. Baby on earth I find solid, up at the bottom.
So let's do the people in the room, because
Okay.
Zoom can hear them.
Okay, I'm gonna name 3 people, please be ready to come up. First up is the very wonderful Vinny, come on.
All right, Dan. Thank you. The very wonderful Vinny. Thank you for the features. And Bobby. This is called Through the Prism Sublime. When we pause and peer through the prism sublime, what do we see, what do we find in the prisons of our mind? When we stop to look at black and white, wrong and right, is it as clear as an open space? This problem that we have with race and rights. Riots lead to wars and death, gasping for another breath. Can we occupy the same space? Or will we find the end of the human race this time? When I look at you, I see myself through the prism in my mind. When I look at you upon my wooden shelf, framed in the present perfect time, I know you will fight for what is right and what we fail to write. It is as clear as an open window pane. I feel your pain and your fright. When you stop and look at white and black, don't turn back, do what's right. And as I write this, I know more wars of words will add to the fight, framed in the present perfect time. Thank you.
Next up, one of the fathers of Poetry Street, Bill Baxter.
Okay, I didn't bring a poem for Halloween, but a few days after Halloween, there's another day that's marked on your calendar on Sunday. So this poem is called DST. When I awoke one morning in the spring, I found that overnight I'd lost an hour. She wasn't in the basement or the tower, the nursery or den or kitchen wing. I spent my days checking everywhere, the gardening garage, the swimming pool. Perhaps my kids had taken her to school. I tracked down every street and thoroughfare. Months went by without a single clue. I began to think that she was lost at sea. But then one morning, she came back to me. For half a year, my little hour had roamed. I don't know how she found her way back home, because when she arrived, I slept right through.
Next up is, I believe it's her first time at Poetry Street, Diane Morelli. I'd like to read the latest version of my poem called Jump Raw Jumpy. And I'm showing you the inspiration the Jump Raw Jumpy. The largest drawer in the kitchen, too cluttered to close, overflows with important stuff. Needle, thread, stapler tape, aspirins, floss, calendar crammed with to-dos and where-tos. Tools mainly used for tasks other than cooking, impossible to locate beneath a heap of odds and ends. Coupons for stores closed down and dates long gone. Postcards, greeting cards, business cards, playing cards. Tickets for lotteries lost, airplanes not bought, parking violations unpaid. Skeleton keys, roller skate keys, car keys, misfits to things I now own. Photographs of happy times, faded faces of those who are no longer alive. Objects tattered, crumbled, tangled, bent, mismatched, expired, smudged, ignored. Things mice like for building a nest. Worthless junk to the unsentimental. This morning I emptied the unkempt drawer. Garbage pail, an open mouth St. Bernard, waited in vain for table scraps to drop. My things, wiped down, smoothed out, taped up, refolded, went right back into the drawer. I concede I'm an unrepentant hoarder. Now let's decide. Before or after I cleaned out the drawer? Thank you. And he's a poet. She lives in Hampton Bay. Yes. Claire, are we good to go?
I don't think so. Do you have more people from?
Yes, I do.
You keep going.
Okay. Next up, we have Wayne Barr.
This poem is about a very specific place, Montez in Paris. There is a famous cemetery there. And Jean-Paul Sartre, Susan Sontag, and I'm not sure many others who I can't name right now, are buried there. And when I stood looking into the cemetery, I had this almost unnameable hit of energy. And I wondered about that. And the hotel I was staying in was actually overlooking the cemetery on the 24th floor. So this is a poem attempting to speak to that extraordinary experience I had. It's called Paris Sunrise. Outside the window, high above, the clouds suspend judgment. Far below, the cemetery whispers, "We are here now. Please carry on what we've started." On dark streets, the headlights glide along. From this high up, they look like toys run by push-button remote. Each driver memorizing their day before it has begun. The light descends into the canyons of commuters. Invisible connecting strands are forgotten. The deja vu dreams remain only as a disguised sense of searching. What cannot be expressed is felt. In a cardinal's song, a glance, dew on a tulip. The hidden sun pokes through clouds pink-edged, now apricot. The full-out illumination breaking up what looked like rain. A Tuesday trust takes me over. I reclaim my between-the-lines life, knowing what I cannot say. I forgot what has already been spoken. There is a riddle in this. Those who have come to Paris before are laughing as from the 24th floor, I still try to figure things out instead of just dancing with them.
Thank you, Wayne. Next up is Donna Knows.
Okay, I'm very nervous. This is my first time. This one's called Murderous Ways. Crimson, snowy white, black as night. Elegant flight. Put that gray polka dot jacket on to walk the streets. Just looking to eat, not to be stomped on their feet. Jump to get away. Will you play? Will you kill? What do you say? Just trying to live. Impact so negative. To the cause will you give? Gives me strife to take innocent life. Cuts my heart like a knife. But it's become a game. It's not to maim without any blame. You're so beautiful. Must remain beautiful and cause undisputable. Kill that spider dragonfly, or at least try. I wonder if they wonder why.
And now the one and only Barbara. Barbara and Lola.
That's right, Barbara.
So don't kill me because Maggie just said 2.5 minutes. And I was cutting while I was in there, but this is something, it's more of a little story and it has a little political bent, so it will be worthless after. So here it goes. Doppelganger. Well, I was born a coal miner's daughter in a cabin on a hill in Butcher Hollow. We were poor, but we had love. That was the one thing that Daddy made sure of. He shoveled coal to make a poor man's dollar. Well, I'm not a coal miner's daughter like Loretta Lynn, but I am a coal miner's great-granddaughter. If my great-grandfather, Vincenzo Antico, had not died in a coal mine collapse in Pennsylvania, I wouldn't be who I am, standing before you. So who might I have been had Vincenzo not died? I call my imaginary doppelganger Barbara Jean. Our great-grandfathers were strong men from Italy. They read leaflets from American mining companies. Come to America, get out of poverty, work in the coal mines, to live the American dream. So they both did in 1900 and took their teenage Italian brides to Pennsylvania coal mining towns. Barbara Jean's great-grandfather had a big family, but my great-grandfather died in a mine collapse in 1912. His young wife and children moved from coal country to New York City penniless. But my scrappy great-grandmother, a widow at 24, made a life in New York City, lived to be 90, worked in the Flatiron Building, bought a house in Brooklyn, was a great card player and made us great pizza. But she told me of the hard life in a mining town, getting flour and sugar and beans from the company store. Barbara Jean, did you watch Tennessee Ernie Ford on black and white TV when he said, "St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go out my soul to the company store"? Well, Barbara Jean, your great-grandfather, your grandfather, your father, your brothers all worked in the coal mines of eastern Pennsylvania. Some got sick and died of black lung disease, but you got out. You went to state college and became a teacher. Well, I went to state college and became a teacher too. We both married young. Do you remember how you couldn't get a credit card in your own name? And your husband had to co-sign when you bought your first car, even though you made more money? But I've been thinking about how you might lean politically. You value your freedom, are practical, and maybe a bit conservative. You drove a couple of hours to attend that rally in Butler, you know, the one where the presidential candidate was grazed by a bullet from a would-be assassin. Did you listen to what he was saying? Last time he was really gung-ho for the miners, clean coal and all that. Now, not so much. Do you want your grandson to work in the mines? Look into the future. Isn't it good to refrain and retrain for something better, for his own health and better for the environment? Do you want your granddaughter to be denied proper health care? What if she's violated, becomes pregnant, has a miscarriage? Could she be refused procedures that would save her life? You're level-headed. But can you believe a persistent liar who denigrates migrants? It was our hard-working immigrant great-grandfathers that already helped make America great. Yes, my sister from a parallel lineage. Let's move forward, not back. Yeah, I'm proud to be a coal miner's great-granddaughter. I remember well the well where I drew water. That well was education. We worked to improve our station, so there's never going back to Butcher Holler. Yeah, there's never going back to Butcher Holler. We're never going back.
Okay, next up is one of the mothers of Poetry Street, Nina Gallo.
Wow, what a day. I've learned so much today. It's incredible. My God. It's like a course in everything. So, what am I going to read? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I was trying to decide today. I chose this. Called Commingled Mornings. Through the commingled mornings, I read my weight, my work, watch this thin slice of theater unfold, imagine the enormity of same blind man rises from concrete steps, propels himself paint first for a junction, white pants flapping, sails the catamaran on shaky seas. Against the gray soiled sky and coffee-scented wind, the wine merchant dances, twirls the lattice gate, men parade baskets of apples, pears. Green peppers precious to their orange glaze, the blind man slows to the scent of lemons. As he poses, I pass as always, remembering persimmons in my grandfather's plate, the taste and pucker of the late fruit.
Wow, what an afternoon, right? We have Mark Wells. Well,
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Maggie, for hosting. And all the wonderful poets who attended and the features. Wonderful poetry. You know, if I could only find that poem here. This is a seasonal poem. And I entitled it Metaphoria. Several hours after we had returned home from a grand evening at the circus and had gone to bed, I watched as the evil-lipped clown thing with 8 legs crawled out from beneath our blanket and started to consume my wife. There was no blood, though, only a moist smacking sound and the clown thing's glowing eyes that kept me pinned to the bed, helpless, mesmerized. No, this was no nightmare. The evil-lipped clown thing was very much alive and intended to have me for dessert. What to do? Once I realized that the clown thing was actually a metaphoric extension of my latent anxieties, it simply vanished into thin air, leaving no trace behind. I breathed a sigh of relief as I watched my wife sleeping comfortably beside me, although as she rolled over on her other side, I noticed that her left arm was missing. It was then I screamed.
Okay, we're almost at the end of the room list. Is there anybody who didn't sign up who wants to read today? Ta-da!
I have one,
Oh, good, Claire.
and then we'll play with the,
Okay.
if we
And
don't.
I have one. Jen, do you have a poem today? Maybe. Okay, we have a maybe. Move back. Claire?
I truly apologize for the sound from Zoom. We'll do a test and maybe that will work. But this poem is called Fall. Fall is upon us, the precursor to the season of dying. Hues of green in the leaves take on that rusty tinge. Golden grains and reeds turn into dark and moldy browns. Moisture seeps out of foliage, leaving it dry and crackling underfoot. Yet temperatures heat not the farmer's forecasts. An unobscured sun emanates piercing rays, unbended by a northern breeze. We are lulled into believing 'tis an Indian summer, though Jack has offered us not his first full part frost. And so the sweet pea tendrils bear blooms again in late October. A lone white iris beckons out of place and time in our waterside garden retreat, rising stately from its bed of now crimson ivy. Bearded blues stalk our seaport village, mums bud again as if 'twere early August. I wheel my mother out onto the still warm courtyard flagstones to soak up the warmth of a spring-like afternoon and pray for reblooming. Another stroke has withered limbs, slowed reflexes and responses. Still, her limbic system remains intact. She hungers for fresh, warm air. Slipping between acuity and confusion, she seems surprised by the balmy false fall. I pray, though, she fails to remember that fall begets the season of dying.
Well, I'm thinking we should just finish the room here. Jen, do you want to read? Here, Jen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have waited. Yeah, I wish I could grab the other folder on my table. I wrote this, I didn't plan to read this actually, but I wrote this last night, meaning it's really rough draft, but I actually kind of like where it will go. But self-portrait. It's like everything is crossed out on the page. I'm not kidding. So I'm going to try to work my way around everything that's crossed out. Self-portrait. I want to be the beauty of Orpheus's music or Carnegie Hall, where people are transformed by concert. If I could, I would be a Broadway theater the moment the musical begins, when someone cries because the art moves her so. My heart hurts from the choreography of Bob Fosse, which is angular, precise, sexual, a product of perfectionism. Though not lyrical, it is gorgeous. Someone is in tears. I am smooth, I am rough like sandpaper and spiked like a dog collar. I am a cradle that's empty and waiting on a rock stuck in place. Rock fits inside cradle. If the cradle stretched, it would become Carnegie Hall, but the stubborn rock would never become music. It would just take up all the space.
This is sort of a Halloween poem. It's called Halloween Sestina. A sestina, well, most of you know what a sestina is, I'm not going to explain it. The girl was a child. She loved the freedom of running through the forest. She didn't believe in monsters, in witches or warlocks, thought they were imagination's storm. One day the weather looked stormy. Her mother said to the child, "You should fear the warlocks that could steal your freedom. Beware the monsters that lurk in the forest." The girl longed for her forest, rejected the storm, the idea of monsters. Mother treated her like a child. She wanted to run freely, more than she feared warlocks. She scoffed at the idea of warlocks, ran into the forest, laughed in her feeling of freedom despite the growing storm. She didn't feel like a child, phooey on monsters. The storm was a monster. Was that creature up ahead a warlock? She suddenly felt childlike in the murky forest. She was drenched from the storm. It didn't feel like freedom. It was the tragic finish of freedom. The girl was snatched by a monster. She recognized the warlock when lightning flashed in the storm. The mother's daughter vanished in the forest, the end of this beautiful child. There are monsters that prowl the stormy forest. Batty witches and warlocks wait, hope to steal freedom from every man, woman, and child.
Susan, if you can hear me, if you would speak again for a minute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, but nothing's coming through, so we're going to try one more thing. Keep talking.
Oh my gosh, keep talking.
I hear
There.
Yeah, beautiful.
Leave me. Okay, Susan, keep talking.
I don't know if I can hear anybody, but it's wonderful to be here. Lovely to hear the features. Amazing work.
Okay, keep going. You're doing great.
Oh my. Well, it's wonderful to hear everybody. And so happy to see you, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, Michael.
Wow.
This is what we're gonna do. And spotlight.
There you go.
Gonna go remove spotlight.
Oh my gosh.
Susan, you wanna take a deep breath and read your poem?
Well, I'm taking advantage of this situation. So I sort of apologize a little bit, but I happen to know that it is coming up on the 42nd anniversary of Reverend Charles A. Coverdale at First Baptist Riverhead. So I thought I would just share a little tribute on the 42nd anniversary of the pastor. In this lifelong ministry, your enthusiasm never wavers. The eyes of faith bring vision enough to inspire generations who blossom here. Consider the ministries that flourish, grow, and find their ways, the contributions that originate from this church, the presence of the Lord in the neighborhood, the town, the county, and beyond, celebrations throughout the years in every season, every ecumenical social justice moment a pastor's loving kindness has encouraged. And imagine, too, every voice that lifts in praise because you listen, because you care. Dear Pastor, on this day so filled with recognition and blessing, let there be this tribute from far away, one of many who see the Lord in your sweet ministry of love. Thank you.
See it, but Pastor Coverdale and his lovely wife Shirley are here in the front of the audience today.
I know. That was gonna be the surprise.
I apologize, we're missing a camera and sound, but let's go to Randy now, and then followed by Virginia Walker.
Okay, I just last week spent a week in rural eastern Washington state and wrote this from that experience. The nature of serenity. Sitting on this faded wood deck, no city noise to interrupt, birds chirping amidst the light breeze, no human sounds to hound and corrupt. 50-foot trees circle around in various hues of wooded green, almost as if protecting me from every sinister evil unseen. The sun unveils from behind the clouds, welcoming me to the great outdoors, cupping my face with hands of light, warming my frame from skin to core. A wisp of clouds take a weekend walk before a backdrop of vibrant blue. All the earth says a languid life is the pace, Lord, you're prompting anew. A dog enjoys a lingering stretch, ambles over and lays down in peace. He's always known what I've just found, the nature of serenity.
Lovely.
Thank you.
And go ahead and unmute, Virginia.
Yeah, hi. I think I managed to get this unmuted here. Unmute myself. Okay, it says it twice though. I wrote this poem because Roth Steinman, an artist on Shelter Island, had done a little art show on Lincoln. She had different portrait heads of Lincoln. And so this is a riff on Lincoln. Little brown penny, little brown penny on which your head appears like a little brown baby lifted from the mud, which the large South intended for it until you came, tall, ungainly, moral agent, and saved the future for all of us. Clutters in numbers my purse and purchases little, but throws metal into the eyes and reaffirms our ideals. Gettysburg assayer on a torn envelope of simple truth. We have a great country, he knew, that could continue, and he knew death would be demanded to serve it. His own death, foreseen, most probably discounted by this great man portrayed on paper, carved in marble, and in 1909, 100 years after his birth, stamped on copper. How lonely he must have felt as he wrote his great words. A country, a world pressing on his brain, pushing him down. He had to go on. His deep, always tired eyes looked on us, those that were, those to come, a stream of humans promising peaceful liberty, and he held out his burly arms to us, follow me. From the great dismal swamp to the plains of canvas, souls were dragged by their ears and branded as slaves, and their dark children as slaves to be. A dark coin suits their emancipator. This man knew that the nation could only be healed by incising the cancer. He knew nothing could hold until he took the surgeon's knife and severed the pulpy head on the breast of the southern realm whose great fields were flooded with blood. He rests his head on his arm. He must read the names of the myriad fallen. He must read the pages of the report. He is so tired, and even the closing of the war cannot solace. He cannot laugh. He sees the longing slaves looking at him for their future. How can he do it all? He is so tired, sitting at the vortex of history. He is ours to remember, to know. He is ours to honor. He is ours to dishonor. He is our little brown penny, ubiquitous, too common, too improbable to hold a hero. He is a lanky, awkward strider, wrenching freedom from the mud, a tired but free mind, an unblemished soul to contemplate in a coin.
And now I'm going to ask Gladys Henderson.
Oh, I'm just checking to see, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Sojourner, a car from far away makes the hushed noise on the blacktop, comes its way towards the house, then passes. All remnants of its present disappear. The rattle of its loose muffler, radio blaring bad news, the whine of its transmission as it mounts the heavy grade, rides towards the summit. It climbs the mountain road, cautiously entering the fog that clings this morning. Switchbacks move the car forward, then back, each time the elevation increasing. It travels the body of the mountain, concealing miles traveled at each turn. The journey's always a small length of road ahead. At the summit, the car breaks through shrouds of gray. Sunlight transfigures pine stand, birch woods, stone wavers in a sea of light. Mica is on fire. In the hollows of empty places, flowers bloom. Bird songs untie the silence. Radiance with its perfume is everywhere. No one would question her reasons for stopping. Creation ignites the air. Wind trembles the trees as if they too had seen some vision. Might have been wiser for her not to have stopped, wiser for her to shelter her eyes from such splendor. She must return home on that same road. Visions fresh in her mind will spend a lifetime mining words to relive the moment. From her deepest sleep, she will be awakened with longings, longings that will steal her away. Thank you.
And we have Kathy Donnelly.
That was lovely. I wrote this poem a long time ago, and I feel that I need to say that I am pro-choice for women, and for those who choose to have a child, this is a poem for her, a new life. Something is coming ashore inside her. Streams meander, find their way in sunlight of a new day. A light flickers, oceans stir, down below in her womb between eyes and thighs. Waters ebb, flow into themselves while thousands of messengers commune. Salt water shifts, takes in its immensity, gives rise to the spectacular, the beginning spark. And that's the poem. I just would like to say it's influenced in the first line, something comes ashore. Inside her is a line by John O'Donohue from Connemara Blues.
I just want to check in with Carmeletta if she wants to unmute and read something. Oh, can you unmute, Carmeletta? There you go.
Hi, I'm Pamelita, Ambassador of Peace from, you can't hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm Pamelita Jones from Cleveland, Ambassador of Peace, and I have a poem titled Dear from my book, Come Up Hither. Book 1, inspired by Revelations 11. Giveth thou thee unto the Son, for thy Father hath opened the gate. Reacheth thee toward heaven, for the sky upon ye shall break. None knoweth the time nor the hour, but the time upon nigh is near. Let not thy soul linger in tally. Let not the angels of heaven sigh tear. That which he seeketh is found, giveth not unto that which is not. Receiveth the gift of life lasting, for that which is nay be forgot. Clingeth thou ye unto the Son, of whom his Father hath sent us dear? Receiveth and follow the Spirit, led by the Holy Ghost here. Amen. I will not be back for a while after today. I have some things that need to be taken care of. So if you don't see me next month, don't panic. I'm not gone. I'm not.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for telling us.
And that takes care of everybody from Zoom. And I'm going to try to refrain.
Okay, is there anybody else in the room who wants to read? Janet? Janet.
Thank you, Maggie. I picked up this anthology, Divided Light, Father and Son Poems. I don't know why I actually picked it up. I just thought it might be interesting, and I kind of reflected on my own brother and my father and thought about, sometimes these father-son relationships are somewhat fraught, And I don't understand them necessarily, but I've experienced them. So anyway, I'm going to read a poem by somebody else. It's called My Father's Leaving by Ira Sadoff. When I came back, he was gone. My mother was in the bathroom crying. My sister was in her crib, restless but asleep. The sun was shining in the bay window. The grass had been cut. No one mentioned the other woman, nights he spent in the stranger's house. I sat at my desk and wrote him a note. When my mother saw his name on the sheet of paper, she asked me to leave the house. When she spoke, her voice was like a whisper. To someone else, her hand a weight on my arm I could not feel. In the evening, though, I opened the door and saw 1,000 houses just like ours. I thought I was the one who was leaving, and behind me I heard my mother's voice asking me to stay. But I was 13 and wishing I were a man. I listened to no one, and no words from a woman I loved were strong enough to make me stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Is there anybody else on Zoom?
No, I think
That's it?
we got to everybody.
Okay.
So we're back to our features.
We're back to our features. Pastor Johnson, would you like to come up and read a final poem?
That's true, but if someone picked one, they don't know what it is. It's called I Too Have a Dream. A dream of a time when one man can look at another man and see a man, not see a past conception and automatically draw a line in the sand. A dream of a man looking at a woman and not seeing an object, but seeing a valuable person worthy of honor and one to protect. I dreamt one night of a place where equality wasn't a dream, but a norm, where prejudice, bigotry, and bias were not accepted in any form. When I awoke, saw it was not just a dream, but a future for hope, a place of new beginnings, a world of acceptance, love, and more. There was a dream within my dream that saw there was nothing to fear, where hope sprang eternal, where youth and virtue were held dear. In my dream, I saw children. They were walking, laughing, and free, not trapped by anyone who stole not only their gift, but their identity. In my dream, there were families that had moved to strange places, where they found they were welcomed by strangers with different faces. There was no one who harbored hate, no one who looked to jeer, only those with peaceful hearts who said, all are welcome here. As I dream on, I remember Nelson Mandela, JFK, and Martin Luther King. That yes, they were dreamers too, who their dreams till their death did they cling. I'll not let my dream become void, become a sleeping man's fiction, but give voice to my dream as it becomes my life's driving addiction. So I'll just keep on dreaming. I'll keep planting seeds of hopeful accord, trusting that my steps will be furthered and strengthened by the Lord. Will you come with me? The reality is not as far as it may seem. I believe that someone else is also saying, I too have a dream.
was beautiful. Richard.
I'll have to give some background. So I have a current project I'm trying to work on. It's a series of poems written about it's a fantasy series of a emergency room doctor and his adventures or experiences. And this poem is based upon an article I had read about doctors at the University of Pennsylvania who are trying to teach beagles how to detect certain diagnoses. They're focusing on uncontrolled diabetes and sniffing the urine. And that was the prompt that got me thinking about the poem, which is called Dr. Dog. Yeah. It's actually been published with a picture of the dog. Dr. Dog. I was doing triage that night, a quiet night, when he walked in the ER. A muscular man in a paisley shirt and jeans, dog on a leash, a big dog. I didn't recognize the breed. Service dog? Not really. And no dogs allowed here. You'll want this one. Say a guy comes in with abdominal pain. Give Hunter the command diagnose. He'll bark once for acute appendicitis. Twice if it's ruptured. A growl for cholecystitis. A howl for diverticulitis. Hard to believe. Not really. Handed me his card. Larry Lawrence, MD, breeder. I was a surgeon, but that's another story. You in charge? No. Tonight I am. How does Hunter do it? It's in the sweat. Each illness a different smell. I took skin swabs from my patients when still in practice, stored them, correlated smells with CT scans, discharge diagnoses. You've seen dogs sniffing for drugs at airports. Hunter takes things one step further. He doesn't make mistakes. Take a look at this positive predictive value. I'll leave him with you tonight. No charge. You can't go wrong. I'll be back in the morning.
Oh, that's wonderful. Tammy, one more.
Oh, plug the books? Yes. Plug the books. We're plugging books. I got books open.
We'll never get home without gas.
That's true. That's true. We need gas. We all could use some gas. Thank you so much for being here. Barbara, I can't wait to hear you and Paula and Valerie. Yeah, I suggested you. Aren't you happy? Thank you. You're welcome. Okay.
That's next year.
Yes, that's next year. Okay, so I just wanted to say that my dissertation was on the healing power of poetry, living with the death of a child. And for me, it's my cross to bear. I keep the name Nuzzo in memory of my son, Michael. He'd be 45 now. So yeah, I was an infant when I had him, but no. So I knew Erin Lee Thomas, Dylan Thomas's daughter, when she came over for her tour with Peter Tabit Jones. She stayed at my house, and lovely woman. And I asked her, I said, you know, I always wondered, did your father get the poem "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night" from Edna St. Vincent Millay's poem "Dirge Without Music"? His was a villanelle, hers was a quatrain. Anyway, she said she didn't know. So I thought that I would write kind of a reversal on his theme. And the title of the poem is "My Son Did Not Slip Silent into the Dark," from Michael J. Sunuzzo, 1979 to 1995. My son did not slip silent into the dark. This young man battled. He put up a fight. How could a summer walk snuff out his spark? Who knew that crossing streets toward Hampton Park could cause the death to my firstborn, my light? My son did not slip silent into the dark. I walk among the living with grief's mark, with sunshines swallowed, making day like night. How can a summer walk snuff out his spark? Across the river Styx, my child embarked. There are no words, no deeds to make it right. My son did not slip silent into the dark. No birds' calls, no sounds of spring hark to hark. I have nothing left, just poetry to write. How could a summer walk snuff out his spark? Hear how the dogs of death growl and bark. I bleed as their fangs sweetly nip and bite. My son did not slip silent into the dark. How could a summer walk snuff out his spark? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Let's hear it for the afternoon of beautiful poetry. Thank you, Zoomers. Thank you, all of you in the room. Please come back next month when Stephen Kramer is one of our features. And those of you who know his work know that it's worth the trip. I myself will be featuring for Russ Green next Saturday in Port Jeff, if anyone is inclined to travel. I hope to see you all. I can't thank you enough for a wonderful afternoon. And please come back to Poetry Street, the room without a roof where every voice is heard. See you next month.